Good morning. Yesterday I went into Dublin Library in Tala. I went to the Tala Library to make some sheets, some documents to hand out about the Mayans and how Mayan temples are mirrored by a star constellation, and how the Knights Templar built Catholic cathedrals to mirror the star constellation that the Mayans done. So basically they're a copy of the Mayan temples. So a city forsaken, all the Mayan cities were forsaken in 900 because the Mayans were allegedly eaten by Quetzalcoatl and the rest of the creatures that they worshipped. They worshipped a god called Quetzalcoatl, who's basically Satan. And what happened was giants. This is the story. This is what they tell the conquistadors when they came, and this is what the writings tell. Giants came across the water on straw boats and taught them how to build cities. The giants were massive. At first they tried to mate with some of the women, but they were too big for the women. Some of them were even up to 28, 30 feet. So eventually the Indians, they worshipped these giants as gods. So the giants taught them all the city building technology, idolatry basically. And they would sacrifice people at the top of these pyramids and cut their hearts out. So after the Maya used to file their teeth down, even the conquistadors had terrible trouble conquering the Maya. They conquered the Aztecs easy, but the Maya were a different kettle of fish. So in 900, most of the Mayans disappeared, not all of them. No one knows what happened to them. So basically, well, they don't know what happened to them. If you look, there's lots of pictures of this lizard joke, big green thing called Quetzalcoatl. Google him, and he ate them. So yesterday I was compiling a document to explain how Catholic cathedrals and all monasteries and all cathedrals around the world have a lot in common with Mayan temples, and particularly this black um, substance that accumulates on all idolatry. Doesn't matter where it is, there's this black substance that accumulates on the idolatry. Catholic churches, Protestant churches, Hindu temples, if they're made of stone, Sikh temples, um, Muslim temples, because it's all idolatry. Synagogues, you name it, these places get covered in this black stuff. It's basically called the vapor of darkness in the Book of Mormon. So basically, I was in there for an hour. I was typing away. Now, when you're sitting on the computer, normally it says you have a little sign comes up and says you have 10 minutes left, and so you go over and you get your time extended. I had loads of time left, and all of a sudden I finished the first bit of it. Bang! The computer just crashed. So I went on to it again. I lost all the work I was doing. It's not the first time this happened in Talent Library. I lost all the work I was doing, and I went on to another. I went and started another one. Bang! The computer just crashed. So I tried to send an email to a friend. The email of a copy of a few documents that I made earlier. The email wouldn't go either. The email mailer demon. So basically, whatever, I'm touching on a very sore subject here for some certain people. And basically, the Maya got eaten. There's loads of verses in the Bible saying if those days were not short, but for the elect few, there will be no flesh left upon the earth. So basically, what's happening is, although they're not hacking hearts out that we know of in Catholic cathedrals and churches, it's still idolatry. The foundation stone of proper civilization is a fact that you shall not lift a tool upon a stone. That is the foundation, one of the foundation stones of faith, of the true faith, that you don't carve idolatry. See, there was no pagan temples in use in this country. There was a few from before when the two at the Danum were here, but they were conquered by the Milesians. There's no pagan temples in use really in this country. They were all racking round and under piles and piles of mud and rubble for over centuries and eons. So basically when St. Patrick came here, he started to build temples. So basically what's happening is over generations the Maya started to sacrifice people and they started to lose their spiritual protection. Their kings were the descendants of these giants and they worshipped them as gods. But the normal people, they weren't descendants of the giants, they were just a population of natives that were deceived into worshipping the gods. So basically, after so many generations, God forsake them. He took their spiritual protection away and they were eaten. So at some point in the future, Jesus says, if those days were not shortened but for the elect few, there would be no flesh left upon the earth. So basically they were a cult, a temple building cult. The Catholic Church is a temple building cult. The Church of England, although not as much as the Catholic Church, is a temple building cult. And all the information that we had in the past that told us and warned us about these temple building cults, the books were burnt and taken away. When Patrick came to Ireland, he burned 180 books personally that we know of. St. Patrick wasn't mentioned until 400 years after he was supposed to have came to Ireland. So he was supposed to come to Ireland in 435 or something like that. And you know what? They didn't write about Patrick until 400 years later. Although I think he was mentioned. So basically, what we're told is a fabrication. They were told that the people here were pagans, but that's not true. If you read the book of Tephi, Tia Tephi was a Hebrew princess that came to Ireland and married the High King. There's a family that's kept there's a story that's kept in my family about the High King and Jesus. This has been told to us by our ancestors for generations after generations. My ancestors were the kings here, and my ancestors are direct descendants of Hebrew kings. And the story goes like this: Jesus was being crucified, and there was a king up here on the hill, and he was after winning loads of battles, and there was peace in the country, but he had a serious injury. He was hit with a ball bearing in the head, and he couldn't remove it, and he was told by the doctor that if he ever picked up the sword again, his battle sword, and started swinging it, he would die. So at the same time Jesus was being crucified, he got a vision of Jesus being crucified. He picked up a sword with rage and started running around hacking down trees, and everyone was saying, put down that sword, don't, and along those lines. And when Jesus died, the ball bearing dislodged from the king's head at the same time as Jesus, and he died also when Jesus died. That's the story. But it's just part of the Hebrew culture that was here. Not every one of these islands were Hebrews, but we ruled over them. We conquered the Danann and the other tribes that were here, and we forced them to stop idolatry, and then Patrick brought her in. So basically, we're being set up to fall like the Maya. If we continue to worship in pagan cathedrals and stone churches, and say that we're worshipping the Most High God, He's going to take our spiritual protection away. And the same thing that happened to Easter Island is going to happen to, and the same thing that happened to the Maya. Similar thing happened to some people called the Moche. Over the years, temple building societies just disappeared off the face of the earth. They were gone. What happened to them? There's more than one. If you check it up for yourself, there's loads of them. We're next, because we're a temple building cult. The Catholic cult is the biggest cult to have existed on the earth after the flood. And that's a fact. There's over 1 billion people. And then you have the Church of England and all these other churches. Temple building cults. That's what they are.